It's the year 2021, and Chelsea reached the pinnacle of European football, Champions League winners.
With a bit of experience, those young guns of 2021 are the kings of the continent. The cup belongs to Chelsea again.
A team built on discipline, tactical brilliance, and a winning mentality. Fans thought it was the start of something great, but instead, it was the start of something horrible. The same club that won the Champions League was now struggling to win games. Managers came and went. The players looked lost. And the team that once scared opponents had become a joke. This is all because Todd Boehly, an American billionaire with no football knowledge, bought Chelsea with big promises. He talked about building a new era and making the club even better. But instead of progress, it turned into a whole disaster. A nightmare that fans will never forget. He spent huge amounts of money on players without a clear plan. The squad became too big, the team had no identity, and the results were worse than ever. This is the story of how a dumb billionaire destroyed Chelsea FC in just 1 year. For almost 2 decades, Chelsea were a top team. Under Roman Abramovich, they managed to win 19 trophies and become one of the best teams in the Premier League. But everything changed in 2022, when Abramovich was forced to sell the club due to political pressure following Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Mr. Speaker, Roman Abramovich is the owner of Chelsea Football Club and various other high-value assets in the United Kingdom. He's a person of interest to the Home Office because of his links to the Russian state and his public association with corrupt activity and practices. Last week, the Prime Minister said that Abramovich is facing sanctions. He later corrected the record to say that he isn't.
And just like that, Chelsea was no longer under Roman Abramovich, which marked the end of a golden era. For the fans, it felt like losing a part of their identity, but many fans stayed hopeful, waiting to see what would happen next.
And yet, they're using Abramovich as a scapegoat, and they forget all the good things that he's done, not only for the club, but for charities as well.
They've known the situation for 19 years, but now because there's a war, they're punishing Chelsea and punishing Abramovich. Abramovich has not been proven to be doing anything wrong, but they still sanction the club, so we can't go and watch our team that we've supported for 30 years.
Todd Boehly came in with a lot of money, big energy, and even bigger ideas. But there was one big problem. He didn't know anything about football. Just weeks after buying the club, Boehly made himself interim sporting director. No scouting experience, no background in European football. But now he was in charge of transfers, contracts, and building the team. Chelsea's football system, the one built for years, was torn apart. Marina Granovskaya, the woman who handled transfers during the club's best years, gone. Petr Cech, a Chelsea legend who knew the game inside and out, gone. The whole scouting department broken apart. And what replaced it? Confusion, instability, chaos. Instead of using the team that made Chelsea successful, Boehly tried to do things his way, using a Moneyball style made for baseball, not football. But football isn't baseball. You can't build a team with numbers alone. And Chelsea isn't a business project. It's a football club with pride, passion, and history. Then came the flood of expensive signings, long contracts, and strange decisions, all made by someone still learning the game while already in charge of one of the biggest clubs in the world. In just 3 transfer windows, Todd Boehly spent over £1 billion on transfer fees. Instead of building a team, Chelsea went for volume. They bought everyone and built nothing. The biggest problem is that they didn't fit. There was no clear strategy, no playing style, no identity, just a scattershot approach, signing big names, young talents, and whoever seemed available. One of Todd Boehly's first moves was to send Romelu Lukaku back to Inter Milan on loan, even though club advisors wanted to keep him. Boehly accepted a cheap £6.7 million fee just to move on quickly. Then Boehly met with agent Jorge Mendes and was offered Cristiano Ronaldo. Boehly liked the idea, but Tuchel rejected it immediately, saying Ronaldo didn't fit his system.
I would not rule it out, but it's not the priority. I think the priority right now is defense, which everybody knows, so it's not a secret. And from there, we need to see what's possible.
That was the beginning of tension between the two. In Boehly's first transfer window, Chelsea signed 8 players. Raheem Sterling from Manchester City for £47.5 million, Kalidou Koulibaly from Napoli for £33 million, Marc Cucurella from Brighton for £62 million, Gabriel Slonina, an 18-year-old goalkeeper, for £8.1 million, Carney Chukwuemeka from Aston Villa for £20 million, Cesare Casade from Inter Milan for £16.8 million, Wesley Fofana from Leicester City for £75 million, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Barcelona for £10.3 million. It was a wild start. Big names, big fees, but little thought about how that actually fit together. Just a few months later, Boehly and Clearlake spent even more money. Benoit Badiashile for £35 million, David Datro Fofana for £10 million, Andre Santos for £18 million, Mudryk for £62 million, Noni Madueke for £29 million, Malo Gusto for £26.3 million, Enzo Fernandez for £106.7 million, and Jimmy J. Morgan for £3 million. In just 2 windows, the squad was bloated, unbalanced, and confused. By the 3rd window, things went from chaotic to completely out of control. 12 more signings. Nicholas Jackson for £32 million, Christopher Nkunku for £5.2 million, Diego Moreira was a free transfer, Angelo Gabriel for £13 million, Leslie Ugochukwu for £23.2 million, Alex Disasi for £38.8 million, Robert Sanchez for £25 million, Moise Caicedo for £100 million, Romeo Lavia for £53 million, David Washington for £13.7 million, George Petrovic for £12.5 million, and Cole Palmer for £40 million. Over £1 billion spent in a little over a year. But here's the thing, many of these players weren't ready to carry a top club. They were bought for potential, not for the present. There was no focus or experience, no leadership brought in, and critically, no plan to make all the pieces fit. Chelsea weren't signing players to suit a style or a manager's vision. They were just signing whoever they could get, whether it made sense or not. The midfield was overcrowded, the defense was stacked, the attack was full of wingers who didn't know their roles. The squad ballooned to more than 30 players. Training sessions were overcrowded, the dressing room was split. Some players didn't even have lockers, others didn't make the bench for months. It was full of individuals, talented, yes, but completely disconnected. And then there were the contracts. Boehly's new trick to dodge financial fair play was long-term deals. 6, 7, even 8-year contracts became the new normal at Chelsea. It was supposed to spread transfer fees over time, a clever accounting loophole. But football isn't played on spreadsheets. These contracts didn't just lock players in, they locked Chelsea in to years of high wages, uncertain form, and no flexibility. If a player didn't perform, too bad. If the next manager didn't rate them, too late. The result? A bloated, unbalanced squad full of players the club couldn't move and managers didn't ask for. Chelsea weren't building for success, they were laying the foundation for a long, painful collapse. What Boehly thought was innovation was just inexperience dressed up as ambition. And the damage was only just beginning. If you thought the transfer madness was bad, wait until you hear about the managers. It all started with Thomas Tuchel, the man who led Chelsea to win the Champions League in 2021. He was a tactical genius, a proven winner. But just 6 games into the new season, Boehly sacked him. Why? Because he didn't fit the new vision, a vague excuse to get rid of one of the top managers in Europe. Then Graham Potter took over, a smart coach with a calm style who'd done well at Brighton, but he wasn't ready for this. Potter walked into a squad with 33 players, no clear plan, no leadership, and pressure like he'd never experienced. No manager could have thrived in that mess. By April 2023, Potter was gone too. So, what was Boehly's next move? He brought back Frank Lampard for no reason. Under Frank Lampard, they only got one win out of 11 games, where Chelsea ended up finishing in 12th place, their worst Premier League season in over 25 years. And on the pitch, it showed. The players looked lost. There was no game plan, no chemistry, no effort. World-class talents playing like they didn't know each other, because they didn't. The chaos didn't stop with Frank Lampard. After finishing 12th in the league, the club needed serious help.
Passing short, passing to ourselves, playing from position, not playing longer, not making forward runs, things that we spoke about. So if you play like that, then you get what you get.
They needed a smart plan, a strong manager, a fresh start. That's when they hired Mauricio Pochettino. He had experience in the Premier League and was known for working well with young players. It seemed like a good choice. But just like the others before him, Pochettino had a nearly impossible job. He was handed a team full of young, expensive signings, players who barely knew each other. There were too many players, no clear leaders, and no time to build to something stable. Chelsea wanted instant results, but building a winning team takes time, especially when the squad is this messy. Some players like Mudryk, Caicedo and Jackson showed talent. But without a clear plan or structure, they looked confused on the pitch. One game they'd play well, the next they'd fall apart. And off the pitch, rumours started to spread. People said Pochettino didn't agree with the club's owners, just like Tuchel, just like Potter. Same problems, different coach. Here's the sad truth. Chelsea had 4 managers in less than 2 years. They spent over £1 billion. They didn't win any trophies, and they became a mid-table team. Chelsea was being destroyed in slow motion and started collapsing while they were spending as much on wages as the top clubs in Europe, but getting none of the results. Todd Boehly promised innovation, progress, and a bold new era of Chelsea dominance. What he delivered was one of the most expensive and disappointing failures English football's ever seen. And the fans had to sit and watch as their club fell apart. People made fun of them online. Rival fans laughed. The club had become a warning, a sign of what happens when you spend so much money without a plan. Every week, fans showed up hoping things would get better. But they only saw confusion, poor performances, and a team that didn't seem to care. All that money spent, and still no pride, no passion, no direction. And the worst part, the fans couldn't change anything. The people running the club weren't listening. They didn't understand what Chelsea meant to its supporters. And Todd Boehly, he just kept doing what he loved doing the most, making money and giving them the American experiment. He ran Chelsea like a franchise, stacking young players like investments, hoping their value would rise. He handed out 8-year contracts to spread transfer costs, a Wall Street move in a football world. But this isn't the stock market. You can't just buy and hold your way to trophies. But as of today, Boehly isn't doing everything alone anymore. Since mid-2023, Chelsea have started to fix things by hiring real football experts. A proper sporting director, a manager with experience and a long-term vision. And for once, there's actually a plan. And when you look at the squad, there's hope. I mean, look at Cole Palmer. He's had 2 good seasons ever since joining Chelsea. His best one so far is the 2023-24 season, where he managed to score 27 goals and provide 15 assists. Enzo Fernandez still has world-class potential, and young players look bright. So yes, the pieces are there. But the real question is, can Chelsea recover from all the chaos? Or has too much damage already been done? One thing's for sure, it's going to take time for Chelsea to return to the top. But with the right vision, leadership and players, anything's possible. Right now, Chelsea looks like a club in slow recovery. They're not where they want to be right now, but this season showed signs of progress. A more stable performance in the Premier League, and most importantly, a more cautious approach from Todd Boehly. But if there's one lesson from this story, it's this: never trust an American billionaire with no football knowledge or just no knowledge in general. I mean, look at Bartomeu. He destroyed one of the greatest clubs in history, and 5 years later, Barcelona's still paying the price. Football isn't just business, it's identity, it's culture. And when you forget that, you don't just lose games, you lose everything.